Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the CCA League. I am DRF, joined by Elixir today, and we have a fantastic matchup to close out this triple header of fantastic matches with so many stakes. Today, we have a Division 2 matchup to round things out. I think we've got Division 2 all over the place today, actually. With Old Bay Brigade taking on UFO. Elixir, these two teams have been kind of just battling out. I mean, we talked about this yesterday. Division 2 has just been such a crazy division, and I think this is it. This is it for these two teams.
Yeah, I mean, whoever makes it out in the end is going to be the one who gets to make playoffs, I believe. I mean, but I don't remember the math. I mean, I think you did some of this math, DRF. Is that true?
Yeah, so, that was part of what we were going through last night between a couple of the sets. Old Bay Brigade, they are already in. They are here on the Bravo team. So they have secured their playoff spot. They are playing for seeding though. So with a win here, Old Bay Brigade finishes 4-1, securing the number 1 seed out of their group. UFO is playing to get into the playoffs. If they win this set, they go 4-1, I believe. And as a result, will take the tiebreaker. Or actually, no, sorry, take it back. I believe they get the number 1 seed as well. But if they lose here, they're out of the playoffs because they end up falling to 2-3 or something like that, or like tiebreaker. I forget the exact situation here, but Squids at Cal will be taking that number 2 seed.
All right. So, I mean, Old Bay Brigade, I mean, they don't have many stakes, but I mean, they probably still want to play their best to determine like a good standings. But UFO is going to be fighting tooth and nail to try to get in, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's win or go home for them. And it's as simple as that. So let's go ahead and dive on into this one. Teams are loading in here. Some very untraditional comps out of both sides here. And it looks like the main inker on either team is a bloblobber.
Yeah, I mean, Blob typically doesn't show up most of the time in competitive, so it's kind of interesting, especially since Ubami Zones doesn't have actually that many spots you can bounce the bubbles all over the place.
Oh, and take a look at this, though. It's already Old Bay Brigade in control, and they are pushing up big time. They already have UFO cornered in their spawn as they are frantically trying to work their way out, building up some specials. Here comes the Super Chumps, the Kraken as well, trying to open things up for their team, but not really going to get too far here as the Bazooka is going to find 2. And that's 3 down yet again. Noob forced to jump out, and the clock keeps ticking as Old Bay Brigade is now within 35 of a knockout.
Yeah, and I really like what this Nihilus is doing, is making sure they don't try to overextend too much into the enemy side and just keeping themselves safe so they can be a good anchor point. But as soon as I say that, they go down.
Oh, what a play there, though. And it's not going to be in time. I mean, what a double from UFO, but the triple ink strike, I think, might have gotten 3 there on the side of UFO, leaving the Kraken to have to paint the zone, and the Kraken is just not a great painter. It's a very aggressive special. It just was not going to be able to do anything in that 1v1 situation. So very quickly here in game 1, Old Bay Brigade is on top.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if the Kraken was, just got a little bit of a size buff, maybe it could have done something. But I mean, as it stands right now, Kraken is a bit too small for a Kraken.
Yeah, it's, that would be interesting. I mean, I really hope we don't get any bigger of a Kraken. I think it's already large enough as is. We don't need it to be even more overpowered, given that it's an indestructible force just running through and trying to, set up your clam blitz jumps and getting insta kills and whatever. So, I think it's a fair trade-off that Kraken cannot paint that zone, but it's just very unfortunate for UFO in that case that was their only painter left.
Yeah. Also, do we want to quickly talk about some of the stats of the two teams about what their standings are?
Yeah, we can certainly do that. So let's take a look at what they have for us. As right now we are looking at Old Bay Brigade, who is currently 3-1. Their only loss coming in week 1 against ONSU in a 7-game set. They have yet to drop a game since. That is how good this Old Bay Brigade team has been since week 2.
Yeah, and for Obey Brigade being a fairly new team, I mean, they quickly warmed up after week 1 and found their stride immediately and became essentially a monster in Division 2 Group B. Whereas UFO is currently at 2-2 with a loss against Squids at Cal and a loss against Vermilion Tides, but somehow beat ONSU. So, I mean, it could be stated that, if UFO beats Ansu, Ansu beats Old Bay Brigade, then you could say that UFO could beat Old Bay Brigade.
I mean, honestly, I think there is a map somewhere that exists, one of our staff members made, that shows a really complex graph of who's beaten who, and I believe there is multiple triangles, squares, circles of suck, as we've been calling them. So it's just all over the place. That's how competitive this group has been. But here we go. Let's load up into game number 2 and taking a look here at these comps. Elixir, what are you noticing?
I see that Old Bay Brigade has brought out E-Leader Scope to try fight over the tower, whereas the UFO is going for a little bit more defensive thing with trying to work around probably with missiles as their Flings player goes down.
Yeah, it seemed like that they were going to try to really rely on those missiles to, open things up here at the start, be able to kind of, clear the way in mid, just start to zone control a little bit with these Old Bay Brigade players as we see them continuing to push this tower beyond the first checkpoint. The numbers have been very even so far. UFO has actually maybe seen a couple of number advantages, but so far, no one really be able to contest this tower at all as this E-Leader just continues to ride this tower for free.
Yeah, and it's honestly kind of surprising to see that they have... The UFO has been trying to take different fights all over the place, but actually working on the objective, which, on most ranked matches, that's kind of your key thing to focus on.
Yeah, certainly. It's. I think they might have just let it maybe a few more points slip there than they could have and should have. So now they do create a little bit of a deficit for them to climb out of, but 43 remaining is definitely not too difficult to overcome in Hagglefish tower control. Definitely it made a little bit more difficult by the E-Leader that can just reach across a large chunk of this map. So they're going to have to figure out a great way to deal with this, and probably going to have to rely on that triple ink strike. But the triple ink strike is going to come around this tower instead. So now they're going to have to find other ways to deal with this E-Leader. Torpedoes will certainly help with that. But the E-Leader, I think, has definitely claimed a couple of picks here. Make that another, as it is going to be a sweet double there in favor of Old Bay Brigade.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good push from UFO, but I think what should have happened is that the Rapid Deco should have popped their inkjet and be able to try to pressure the Old Bay Brigade and try to take that pick against Machine, but unfortunately they didn't quite do that.
Yeah, because it's interesting because UFO has had a couple of numbers advantages as we've said, but they just haven't been able to capitalize it. As the triple ink strike is going to come here, targeting this tower, not really spread out. So just once again, I feel like a lot of these specials just not being utilized to the best of their ability as they once again let another 18 points slip. So that's going to be 24 remaining for Old Bay Brigade. UFO finally able to clear them out. It's trying to reestablish as much mid control as possible, but again, they're gonna have to figure out a way to deal with this E-Leader, who I think has been the biggest source of trouble for them.
Yeah, and I mean, probably the biggest issue from the last push that Old Bay Brigade has is that they broke now 2 checkpoints whereas only UFO has to now break those 2 checkpoints on on a couple pushes.
Yeah, then they're slowly running out of time for it too. I mean, a minute and a half to go. Numbers advantages just not in your favor at this moment. The machine going to try to cause some chaos here. Going to have to pop this Booyah bomb and tossing it back. Not able to pick anybody off. It seemed a little bit more of a hey, I need to kind of just use this to keep myself alive almost. But the triple ink strike going to continue to zone some people around here. And now it's Old Bay Brigade back on the tower. The E leader once again going to lead the charge here. Tacking on a couple more points here. Make it 5, and that's the wipeout. So 19 remaining as Old Bay Brigade continues to chip away at the scoreboard here. Opening the gap little by little. 1 minute to go, and UFO needs an answer.
Yeah, no, UFO needs to be playing actually probably pretty aggressive right now in order to actually start making any sort of sizable push, because they have multiple specials online, but if you can't close that distance, you're not going to be making it that far, because you can just wait, because Old Bay Brigade can just wait out the respawn timers.
They certainly could. And with 20 seconds to go now, they are pushing that Tower 4 just a little bit, but they trade Machine for Flingza, and I know that they really want that Flingza on their side right now, because that's going to help move that E-leader around. 10 seconds to go. Spam, Noob, trying to hold on to mid here, waiting for their teammates to get back in, but nobody's near the tower, and that's going to be game. Old Bay Brigade will take game 2.
Yeah, no, Old Bay Brigade played that very well, just making sure that they just, as soon as tower started moving, they had people immediately go into the UFO's spawn area and try to just flank them or try to just zone them out. Whereas it seemed like UFO, they knew how to play around with objective, but they didn't quite understand like the idea of moving past tower to protect tower.
Yeah, honestly, I definitely agree with that. They just seemed a little bit almost scared to kind of move forward, try to play ahead of that tower. Old Bay Brigade did that very well, actually, and I think that's the reason that they got the lead that they did. But, you know, it is definitely a little more difficult. I brought it up a couple times throughout that game. The E leader just on the side of Old Bay Brigade was very good at just getting those shots, and it's hard to find the coverage that you need in Hagglefish Market. It's just not a map where there's a lot of barriers for you to hide around, especially in mid where it's just so open. So I think that's very understandable why they moved the way they did, but I feel like they really just needed to take a chance and, you know, just throw yourselves forward. You know, they had a numbers advantages a couple of times there, and I feel like they just missed the opportunity to really push forward and take advantage.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's totally understandable be afraid of like an E-leader laser, but I mean, as an E-leader main myself, I mean, you can fight E-leaders. I mean, you just need like a displacement and like an aggressive special to just do a quick distraction, because I mean, UFO, if they could pop those missiles and then had their inkjet player try to take a few pot shots, you definitely could kill confirm that E leader.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I think it's just that every time that they wanted to get that push going, the Flingza went down. You know, they really needed those missiles to pull that off. The torpedoes, I think, were helpful. But again, a torpedo is just one little thing that you could just quickly shoot out in the sky. So it distracts the E-leader for a couple seconds, but you need to be able to make a move on top of that. And Old Bay Brigade just did a very good job of ensuring the E-leader can hold their positions for as long as they did. And that, I think that really contributed to the defensive efforts for OBB, as, you know, UFO was just never able to break through that first checkpoint.
Yeah. And now we're moving on to our third match, which, if we're looking at the map list, is going to be Rainmaker Maki, which is going to be a very interesting thing. Okay. Yeah, interesting choice. I'm curious to see how these two teams are going to play it out.
Oh man, yeah, I think they were kind of getting ready for a possible return of the E-Leader because the double T-Tech is gonna raid some chaos here. And look at this! It's 3 down on the side of Old Bay Brigade. It's just the Blob standing, and they're gonna go ahead and pick up this Rainmaker, try to make a move towards that first checkpoint, but it looks like UFO's Blob is gonna go down themselves. Sar trying to utilize this triple ink strike to open up the path to the first checkpoint, but no, it's gonna be the blaster that shuts that one down, and this Clash is gonna be able to get a trade there. Fell making a move, able to pick off 3, a huge triple for Fell.
Yeah, and Fell was trying to hold a good, strong position in order to kind of distract. Although I would not recommend taking the Rainmaker right, as that is a very dangerous place to push, as it's right next to the enemy spawn. But seems like UFO, well not UFO, Bay Brigade was trying to push that.
You know, I think they figured, why not? You know, it's closer, it's right there. They got the 3 down, Fell with a big play. I think that's just a viable option to at least take it for the checkpoint. If you have that wide of an opening, I think they were just a little bit slow to the punch. And the last member of UFO was able to shut that one down. And that's kind of just been what we've seen so far from both of these teams. We've seen triples on either side as we see another 2-and-2 trade. You know, but the 3 down on either side, the last player ends up coming up pretty big. This map is very, very small, so it doesn't take much to be able to get that stop, actually. So you have to be very quick when you do get those 2-3 down situations, as we do see UFO with a 2 down situation for themselves right now, but they're going to now lose 2, make it 3 of their own, as the last one is going to be that Blob who goes down, and now Old Bay Brigade can pick up this Rainmaker, and they're making a move towards the checkpoint.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like UFO had a very good position just holding that mid area, but they were just slightly too slow to move, and now they're getting punished for that kind of decision, as Old Bay Brigade is able to get quite a lot of points on the board.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to really rack up the points here, like you said, Elixir, and they were able to just push the Rainmaker just about a foot in front of them and bring that all the way down to 37 remaining, 2 down on the side of Old Bay Brigade. So this should be the first checkpoint that will fall for UFO. They are playing for their playoff lives here, folks, and they are not going to give in yet. They have another pick there, but no, 2 go down on the side of UFO. So this is likely going to be the end of their push, as the 3rd goes down. It's just the Blob. The Blob's going to try to hold position right around the checkpoint. Going to maybe tap the Rainmaker here just to keep it in that spot, but not going to be able to do so. So instead, they're going to opt to hold position here, try to keep paint in front of them, maybe get a couple of picks and let their teammates grab that Rainmaker and try to once again push from the left side. But instead, it's going to be the Blob that actually goes back to pick it up. A little bit of a unfortunate situation there. I think that might have been a slight miscommunication, honestly, because the Blob was doing a great job holding that position there, went back to grab the Rainmaker, but nobody moved up in front of them.
Yeah, I mean, UFO was playing that very well. It's just that they just made a little bit of a wrong decision, and it was able to get killed by a straight slap bomb. But I mean, UFO is very much aware of what Old Bay Brigade is trying to do and was able to shut that down immediately.
1 minute to go in this game. UFO once again down late, and they are going to have to make a move to try to prevent themselves from entering an 0-3 deficit. 45 seconds to go. 2 down on the side of Old Bay Brigade. This could be their opportunity to make a move, and it looks like the Nautilus is going to try to hold this corner here. Bomb going to be coming out, trying to move them out of the way, and no, Fell is going to be able to get that pick clean there. 2 down on the side of UFO now. They're going to have to try to continue to hold this position while their teammates get back in, and Old Bay Brigade has just been so good at holding these defensive positions as they find 3 down yet again.
Yeah, and now all Old Bay Brigade has to do is either just wait out that pop or just like stall it out, or they could just honestly grab the Rainmaker itself and just take it back. But it seems like they're going to play a little bit of the stall idea, as we see one last desperation idea from UFO unfortunately gets shut down by the Nautilus.
Oh man, what a game there between these two teams. UFO, it seemed like multiple times there was just right on the edge of having an open plat for them to move up with, but they just were not able to get those 2-3 downs that we saw. I mean, even when they had 2 down, it looked like Old Bay Brigade just was so smart about their positioning, keeping Ink in front of those UFO players, and eventually UFO just extended just enough to where the positions they held allowed them to get the picks. So Old Bay Brigade just defensively was a fortress, just unbreakable, and UFO just never really found an answer there, even though it seemed like multiple times they were on the edge of a big play to get the lead.
Yeah, but I mean, UFO definitely could have made a stronger play. They had double T-Tech on a small map such as Maki. If they would have been able to just combine their 6 strikes essentially, you just throw 3 to deny mid, throw 3 more into the enemy spawn, and you pretty much have probably over 3/4 of the map yours just immediately in that few moments.
For sure. Well, we're going to be looking towards our 4th game here, which will be Clamblitz on Manta Maria. UFO is on the ropes here. They need a reverse sweep to keep their playoff hopes alive. If they go down in any of these next 4 games, Squids at Cal will take the number 2 spot out of their group. So a lot at stakes here, and they're just gonna take this one game at a time. Elixir, what are you hoping to see out of UFO here that could possibly start to turn this around?
I mean, I expect to see, the blob come out along with probably the inkjet coming out. I mean, I those 2 weapons, I think they can play to those weapons' strength, just making sure that you can kind of just zone out and just lay on the pressure. But they need to keep their heads on it and make sure they take some deep breaths. So when they face against Old Bay Brigade, that they can win those like 1v1s or 1v2s, because I mean it's very much possible on a map like Manta where you just kind of play like a little dance around the mast.
Yeah, honestly, it's just a big squid party when you're trying to, ring around the rosies almost, trying to chase your opponent down. Tom and Jerry cartoon. Well, let's take a look at what these teams are bringing out for us. The double T-Tech going to be sticking around for UFO. I think it worked well for them in that last game, just wasn't able to really break it open there. And I think if they should get a power clam and are able to push up to that street with both specials online, that's really going to open things up for UFO. But they need to stay alive, which has been something that Old Bay Brigade has done such a great job of, is just getting these, picks left and right. Even if it's just 1 down at a time, like they have them staggered enough to where Old Bay Brigade is just able to make consistent moves here, as we see 2 down on the side of Old Bay Brigade.
Yeah, I mean, it was starting to look like a stagger inside of UFO, but that Flingser play was able to just shut down all semblance of a push from Old Bay Brigade. So, I mean, props to this Flingser player as they're trying to just zone out and farm for those missiles so they can start their own push.
Certainly, as the T-Tech is going to start to launch those triple ink strikes. They do have a power clam here, but will they be able to get to the basket? Noob going to try to make a move here, open up a jump possibly. Sar going to follow Noob and able to pick 1 off, but no, Sar is going to be too far from the basket, but that's still 3 down, making a wipeout on the side of Old Bay Brigade, and Noob is going to get the first dunk here. Silly going to follow up as well, and Ink on that blob, but coming in with 4 more, and this could be a big opening for UFO, but no, it looks like they're going to go ahead and just get that scoreboard under 60, which is what I think tends to be the metric for a solid first push. Back off here and try to maintain some numbers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the reason why we see consistently being slightly under 60 being a good push is because it's sometimes very hard to get those like 2 power clams needed to hit 60, and then you need some more to go and actually take a lead. As we we see this Tri-Secret get a very nice pick, and now UFO is trying to figure out how they're going to stop this push as they've all come back and respawn.
And it looks like it might be just the Flingza as trying to buy some time for their team to come back in here. But Old Bay Brigade able to get their first dunk of the game. But I don't think there's going to be any follow-up here as all of their members go down with the exception of this T-Tech who's going to get some jumps in for their teammates. But no, they're going to get shut down themselves. SAR gonna help clean this one up, and now it's UFO back in control of mid. Once again, trying to maintain hope for their playoff potential here as they now need to hold on to this lead, possibly, try to find their way to the basket, score some more, because Old Bay Brigade, they're definitely going to really push forward, push back on you, try to get a couple picks, and they're gonna most likely get another push at some stage in this game. So UFO needs to continue to find ways to the basket, and no, their 2 power clam carriers are going to get shut down here, and the machine finds a third. It's just the T-Tech who's going to get a Booyah Bomb to the face there and gets shut down. This could be another push out of Old Bay Brigade, but they don't have a lot of clams on their side. They frantically are trying to pick some more up, pass them around, build up that power clam, which they do, but now it's a little bit too late. It looks like UFO is back on the defense.
Yeah, I mean, that machine was playing very, very nicely trying to get that delayed quad, but I mean, it was a little bit too slow, but now Old Bay Brigade is now found their good footing and is now able to maybe score some more points. They just need 1 or 2 just to get lead.
And there's the one to get the lead. No more clams on their side, so this basket will close with a 1-point lead. UFO is going to have 45 seconds here to find a power clam and 1. That's all they need is a 1+1 to take back the lead and just put together a defensive effort. But no, 2 of them go down in their own bunker, and it looks like Old Bay Brigade is not done with this push yet. Silly with the power clam gonna have to back this one up, and 30 seconds to play. This push is not over for Old Bay Brigade as they are looking to close this one out in 4.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think that those missiles that got popped were a little bit too early, as that really all it did was annoy the enemy team, but didn't actually cause anything substantial. And now the Old Bay Brigade can just hold by their basket and just stop any push that would come in instead.
Oh, and a great flank from behind there by Amiya, as this is gonna be it. 3 down, make it a wipeout, and Old Bay Brigade starts the celebration here as they will secure the #1 seed in their group, shutting UFO out of the playoffs and admitting Squids at Cal as the #2 seed.
Yeah, I mean, Old Bay Brigade played that very well. They had a little bit of shaky start, but once they were able to figure out those like delays, triples, and quads, they were able to just slowly stagger and eventually just feed in those clams until they got 1 point past.
Man, what a heartbreaker though for UFO. They really put it all out there. All those games, I think, other than maybe game #1, I think every game here was pretty close. They really put in the effort there. Just, I think, got better with every single game. But, I mean, since week 2, Old Bay Brigade has just seemed unstoppable. They've just dominated every week since. So they're going to come out of this group as the #1 seed with a 4-1 record. Squids at Cal are the only team with a 3-2 record in Group B. The remaining 4 teams that missed the playoffs will finish at 2-3, which is just a really weird sort of standings right there. Every team just winning a game or winning at least 2 sets. Every team losing at least 1. So a phenomenal season here for this group. I think this is just one of the most competitive groups that we have ever seen in the CCA. And I really just want to give my props to every single team in Division 2 Group B. I mean, Division 2 in general has just been such a joy to watch. We have extended coverage of them all day today as we try to figure out who's making the playoffs and who's out. We've now answered that question in Division 2 Group B. We're still going to be looking for that answer in Group A, as I believe there's another stream going on the side of Splatoon Tourney 1 that will answer that question in a little bit. We also saw the match earlier as well between PAL and Reef Runners that contributed to answering those questions. So we will be finalizing those standings tonight. But before we do, Elixir, we have a CCA tradition here.
Yeah, you gotta love, seeing all the teams play all 7. It just shows, the camaraderie and the sportsmanship to be like, okay, you guys have won, but I mean, you guys are also good. How about we go and play some more games and, just show that we like having this game because it's a game. We love having fun. We love competing instead of being like a traditional, just like, oh, we won and we're done. All right, that's great. But this is stuff that we just love to see in CCA.
Absolutely. It's just such a fun tradition that has developed over the seasons. Everyone's a busy college student. We've set aside an hour to play this game. Why don't we actually just play it out? It takes so much time to schedule, figure out, all right, when can we get our teammates together, and get 8 of us together to actually play this game. So sometimes it's like really a miracle to have to coordinate that schedule. So let's go ahead and play this one out, have some fun, get some learning opportunities here. So we will see some mostly traditional comps, I think. It looks like Old Bay Brigade coming out with a couple of spicy picks here.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see that we have a Viper and Expo working together. I mean, those two weapons are usually commonly seen. It's just that I don't think I've quite seen this combo myself. So I'm curious to see how it's going to work, since one likes to play in your face while the other kind of likes to play a little bit back as you see Expo just die.
I do think the Expo is a great pick here. I think it does a fantastic job of being able to really start to pick both either side of the zone. The Expo, I think, can just hold one side of the zone by itself, really, while your teammates are able to come in and clean up the other side. So that's what it's been doing so far, as we finally see Old Bay Brigade losing 3 of their own here. Somehow going to hold on to the zone just a little bit longer before UFO finally gets their first control of the game here. And now trying to do what they can to hold on, able to pick off 2 there, fell with the crab, able to pick off Noob. And now this goes back to neutral. Old Bay Brigade flips it in their favor, not going to let that gap close any further, and they are working on their penalty.
Yeah, and Old Bay Brigade is holding a very strong position, just making sure that most of the mid is just covered so that they can go and choose whatever direction they want in order to just surprise attack the UFO. But that does come at a cost of them possibly flipping the zone over.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, take a look at this though. UFO, I see you getting with a nice triple there. Starting to try to lock out Old Bay Brigade, but it just seems like Old Bay Brigade is coming from so many different angles right now. These specials coming out at a prime time though, able to pick 2 off. This Viper is in no man's land, gonna get picked off themselves, so this will be a lead change in favor of UFO, but the crab is able to pick off that T-Tech, which could be big. This will most likely be a neutral for Old Bay Brigade. Can they follow it up with a conversion of this zone? It looks like UFO is doing an excellent job here of holding on as best they can, but no, UFO is going to lose this zone. Old Bay Brigade back in control. Now going to be trying to work out of this penalty and get back the lead, doing a fantastic job pushing up, picking off the members of UFO, got them staggered slightly, just enough to where I think this is going to result in a lead flip in their favor.
Yeah, especially since Old Bay Brigade has now clutch grab in a very strong power position, and was able to go and get one pick and hold very strong positions. Although it's very much interesting to see that neither team has tried to actually go into the enemy base itself, but just kind of stayed around slope.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well. You know, they've kind of just poked their heads in a little bit and like, hey, we're here, but haven't really made the move to initiate a lockout situation. And I think that's why we've kind of seen this zone go as back and forth as it has. Because neither team has really found themselves in that firm spot to shut down this game, you know, really take firm control here, as we do see UFO with 1 point left on their penalty, able to break through it, actually maintaining control here, and a couple of picks left and right, a bloodbath around the zone. 10 points remaining for UFO. They're going to go ahead and lose control as a result of that numbers disadvantage, and now it will be Old Bay Brigade, 35 points on that penalty, trying to work through it and get back this lead with a minute to play.
Yeah, but I mean, this match has been very interesting to see, because it's not as dominant as it was in the last 4 matches, where it's just now a constant back and forth, which means that, I mean, UFO, I think, is learning, you know, is showing that if you give us a little bit more time, and we will be a threat. But, you know, this is not official, but you can definitely tell that, you know, UFO is definitely a team to be watching out for in further seasons.
Oh, for sure. I mean, UFO, definitely one of those fan favorites that, you know, I think it's a little bit heartbreaking for a lot of folks that they're going to be missing out on the playoffs. They've been, you know, such a great team to follow here. But look at this. They're going to hold out on this zone, getting 3 down, make it the wipeout, and UFO in this friendly game 5 will secure their first game of the set.
Yeah, I mean, that was really much a good play. Just trading specials, trading positions, just trading in general. I mean, you just love to see this kind of like battle that happens on these matches.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So I mean, kudos to UFO there. I think they really like we said, I think they just needed some time. If this was a best of 9, I could very much see us starting to enter potential reverse sweep territory. Of course, it's always way too early to say in that kind of situation. But you know, I think we really have seen them just start to figure out this Old Bay Brigade team with each game. Every game has gotten closer and closer and closer, and finally they get their first win here. They're going to be looking to keep that momentum going into game number 6, Tower Control Mako Mart.
Yeah, I'm curious if they're going to try to stick with their double T-Tech idea, because, I mean, you can honestly probably just keep bombing the tower along with just sending the strikes in to just keep those keep the enemy away as long as you know, securing those checkpoints as you go along.
Yeah, I'm in agreement actually. I really think this double T-Tech comp has worked well for them. I think it's going to help them maintain pressure on the tower, like you said. You know, so let's see what they ultimately bring out for us. Because I think that comp, I think we only started to see it in game 3, and that's when those games started to get really close. So let's just see what they ultimately bring out, though. I think that's the answer, though.
Yeah. Besides that, I mean, like, DRF, what do you usually think about when Tower Control Micromart? Like, do you think it's like a very snowbally map, or do you think it's like one you kind of like chip away at?
Oh, for sure, it's one that you kind of chip away at. I mean, once you clear the second checkpoint, though, that's when it becomes snowbally. So that's going to be the key here for both of these teams, is you need to get your stops by the second checkpoint. Once that second checkpoint is broken through, you just need to throw up a prayer almost, because it's become so difficult to get those stops. The third checkpoint is essentially when you know you've lost the game. We've seen the comebacks before. We saw it actually. It was either last night or the night before. With I believe it was another Division 2 matchup actually. So we'll take a look here at what these teams are bringing out for us, and I see a Tri-Nouveau, and I very much like this pick.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that Old Bay Brigade is playing a very aggressive comp for this. So DRF, how do you think the Old Bay Brigade is going to be playing with this kind of comp? Because I mean, they're pretty much all frontline or short-range weapons.
Well, I mean, they still have that blobber, so I think that's still going to give them some of that backline support. The Dynamo here on the other side for UFO is also, I think, the more interesting pick, actually. So very untraditional sort of backline-ish weapons. So I think they're just, honestly, they're going to just have to hold forward, though, for Old Bay Brigade. Just play in UFO's face and definitely anticipate a lot of flanking opportunities, especially for that Wiper Tetra combo. If one of them is under the ledge, the other one is working to get around to the backside. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. But I mean, this Dynamo is able to zone out a huge majority of what's considered like the safe shooting range for most of these weapons. And it's interesting to see that a lot of times they can't hard engage unless they take out that Dynamo. Because that Dynamo only needs to take 2 shots on you, and you're pretty much going to die, because that's the minimum damage that the Dynamo has.
For sure, as now we do see UFO, who will be clearing this first checkpoint, not going to have the follow-up here to get the lead, so they will back off for now, try to hold position here, try to maintain a little bit of mid control, which is exactly what they're doing, able to pick off that Tri-Nouveau, but lose one of their own there. So now with that bit of a trade, it looks like Old Bay Brigade has actually found an opportunity to start pushing up. And look at that, 3 go down, I believe all to the hammer possibly, and make it a wipeout. So this will be a big lead opening for Old Bay Brigade as they are working on pushing this tower forward, but it looks like they're kind of playing a little bit of a hokey pokey here. Everyone kind of stepping off the tower, and they're only going to get that to 50 remaining before getting wiped out.
Yeah, I mean, it was just quite the dance on tower where you have trying to just like outmaneuver your opponents with like these quick jabs all over the place. As we see that now, even though Old Bay Brigade was able to get the first checkpoint, I mean, UFO is holding very strong. It's getting like a delayed triple on the Old Bay Brigade.
Noob now riding this tower, trying to get exactly the lead. Noob with a 4th pick there in this life. Make that 4 + 2 assists. Noob is just on a roll here, getting the picks, supporting their teammates, doing it all, riding the tower also. What a life there for Noob, getting the lead here for their team. Fantastic job. And now with a minute 40 to play, Old Bay Brigade get back control of this tower and are trying to neutralize, taking advantage of that wipe, getting as much green paint down on the map as possible, ready to try to lock out the members of UFO. But no, the Wiper's going to go down there. The Tetras are going to go down as well. So a great stop there before Old Bay Brigade can really get that more than a couple feet beyond mid.
Yeah, but I mean, you may have taken out those Wiper and Tetras, but I mean, most of those weapons run like pretty much like a zombie build where you just kind of just keep dying and just throw yourself back in and like within like 2 seconds. So even if you get those picks, they're going to be right back in your face like pretty much soon after.
Oh, for sure. As now we do see 3 down on the side of Old Bay Brigade once again. They're going to have to go ahead and back off here. Teammate, I think, might have been trying to jump in. Going to survive that jump. And take a look at this Reef Slider going to come in and knock Silly off. And that is going to allow them to really start to push up here, start to camp these ledges, and Old Bay Brigade is going to be hunting for the lead here with 30 seconds to go. The Dynamo going to try to use a little bit of coverage here, just rain ink down, see if they can get a couple of picks, but the T-Tech's going to come out with a triple ink strike, going to be able to help pick one off there, but two go down on their side as well. The Dynamo going to try to clean this one up, but they're going to go ahead and get not shut down, but they're going to get that pick. 10 seconds to play, and it's a 13-point game. 3 members down on the side of Old Bay Brigade, and it looks like UFO is going to be able to ride this tower to victory.
Yeah, I mean, again, phenomenal matches where you can definitely tell that UFO has definitely found their footing. And even though they again lost their set, I mean, after the 4th match, I mean, UFO is now just winning these matches. So if it wasn't for a best of 7, I think this would have been the start of the reverse sweep.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that just in the previous game. If this was a best of 9, this would be 4-2, and I really do believe that UFO is continuing to get better at each game. I mean, take a look at the difference between game 1 and game 6. We've seen just an actual growth arc just in those games alone, and it's been so cool to actually see UFO really piece this one together. Part of me really wishes that this was in the playoffs now, where it is a 9-game set, because they would still be in this going into game 7, and with each victory, Old Bay Brigade is starting to just sweat a little bit more, but again, that's not the situation here. I mean, this is going to go down as a 4-0 victory, even though UFO has fought their butts off here to get these 2 games and just continue to really figure out this team and the best ways to handle them. It's just a little bit unfortunate. I'm glad that we still have this on stream, though, because I think UFO is going to look back on this one and be able to at least give themselves a little pat on the back for the way that they've handled this set. Yeah,
definitely. And, who knows? I mean, UFO could definitely be finding a new scrim partner in the names of Old Bay Brigade. I mean, these 2 teams seem to now know how each one fights and is able to kind of trade blow for blow. So, Old Bay Brigade, I mean, they may be going playoffs. You got a good training partner in the name of UFO before you have to face off in your semifinals.
For sure. Well, they're gonna, they do lock in that number 1 seed, trying to figure out who their opponent will be on the other side of the bracket, which, as of right now, I believe is still a toss-up, given there's still one more game to be played. Florida Gulf Coast against Reef Runners, which will be on Splatoon Tourney 1 in probably about, if I have it correct, 45 minutes-ish, or it just got started, actually. Yes. So, all right, but we are here in game number 7. Taking a look at these comps, I think we've reached territory of what is everyone doing at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's very much interesting. We got a Neo Sploosh on an interesting choice. I mean, Neo Sploosh can actually work, as you can just kind of place beacons all over the place. But you have a double hammer with L3D and a wiper, and you have I believe everything else actually is not changed, so it's mostly just those 2 things. But again, most of the time you don't want to be running those things because they're somewhat outclassed a lot of times.
And take a look at this. It's going to be 3 down on the side of Old Bay Brigade. UFO going to allow that checkpoint to slip, but not let any points go after that. So now they will get a lot of control in mid here. This T-Tech going to start to push up, try to push around the E-leader, able to actually get the pick, actually, and get the second one as well, but their teammates are going to get shut down in mid, and that is a wipe. The T-Tech's efforts are for naught here, as Old Bay Brigade maintains control, able to clean up, and now they're going to be looking to tack on some more points to their scoreboard.
Yeah, I mean, Old Bay Brigade has to play this a little bit defensively in order to try to get a little more points, or somehow do like this monumental push, as we see his wife kind of go for like the kind of like YOLO play. I want to say, because you're going to be in the heart of the enemy territory.
Definitely, as now with 30 seconds on this Rainmaker timer, it's taken him quite some time just to even get to this position, constantly getting pushed back. But now they do get 2 down, so this will be the opportunity to make a big move with the Rainmaker going across the glass there. 16 points remaining, and Fell is still holding this position, trying to just buy their team some time to jump on in. Turtle King makes the move, able to help pick off this T-Tech, and it looks like they're going to go ahead and just opt to back off pretty much entirely, with the exception of Amia there, who is going to I think trying to build up some special to keep their push going, but no, it looks like they're gonna have to just back off for now. This Nautilus doing everything they can, trying to just play a little bit aggressive, but I think this push is officially over. 2 minutes and 15 seconds to play, and this one is, I think, still kind of up in the air, as UFO certainly not out of this one yet, but they have a checkpoint in between them and the lead.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. I think I lost track of which team, but they just need the Rainmaker just needs to play a little bit defensively. I mean, since they got such a strong lead, they can kind of just wait at this enemy, or they could be going all for the the play, but it's going to be a little bit risky, especially since you can have all of the enemies collapsing on you.
And it's 2 down on either side. Old Bay Brigade picks up this Rainmaker and is going to get shut down right away. UFO with a great stop there. And now they're going to try to get back in the mid, something that they haven't been able to do in a few minutes here. So they just need to continue to find these picks, start moving up slowly. I mean, take advantage right now while this E-leader is down, and you're able to move a little bit more freely. But it seems like it's just a constant struggle here, as they once again lose 2 of their players.
Yeah, I mean, that may be the case, but I mean, both teams are kind of just trading players at this point. I mean, it's very hard to tell who has really a good advantage state, because, I mean, when one goes down on one side, I mean, it's not going to be too much longer before the other side also loses a player. But we see that, 2 go down, or 3 go down on the side of, Old Bay Brigade, and now they're possibly thinking about going for that checkpoint.
Wait, what? There was a player behind them, and it's the L3D, and no! This is gonna be a disconnect! Oh, I saw that person standing there. No, the Neo Splash. Oh, man, what a way to finish this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a game 7, I believe. I mean, most game 7s have some sort of gimmick to it, but I think that's honestly like the worst gimmick. The gimmick of Nintendo Switch Online.
Oh, that is just so unfortunate. I mean, it looked like it was Old Bay Brigade's game to lose there in the closing 30 seconds-ish anyways. So, I think that they were in a very strong position to close that one out either way. I think UFO actually was in a good position to try to close that gap, but it was still quite the mountain to climb. It seemed like that even with the 3 down there, they just weren't pushing up fast enough. The last player standing from Old Bay Brigade got behind them and was able to pick off the Rainmaker on a solo mission there, and I think they were still going to be able to run away with that one. It's just unfortunate that in your last game of the season, even in a for fun game, you have the disconnect like that.
Yeah, but I mean, that's nothing that, we or, they could have really done. I mean, this is all on Nintendo's end. So, I mean, you got to take what you got. I mean, and just, and still enjoy the experience before the whole disconnect happened.
For sure. Well, That is going to be this set. Old Bay Brigade wins it 4-0. I love the back three games that we had there, though, in the For Fun session. But ultimately, it will be Old Bay Brigade as the #1 seed in Division 2 Group B. Squids at Cal is going to sneak their way into the playoffs here after a big win over Vermilion Tides yesterday. So they will lock in the #2 seed in the craziest group that we have ever seen in a CCA league. A phenomenal job to all of these players and teams. Now, the last question to answer is who will be joining the playoffs on the side of Division 2 Group A? That is being answered right now on Splatoon Tourney 1, which we will send you all over to in just a little bit. But before we do that, Elixir, thank you so much for joining me today. Go ahead and plug yourself.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, you can find me on like Twitter at Elixir68, and you can find me playing for my collegiate team, Kraken Squids. Unfortunately, our run is over for CCA Season 3, but you will definitely see my team back in full force for the next CCA season. How about you, DRF?
Well, as for me, you can find me on Twitter at DRF_Splatoon and on Twitch, TritonDRF. But as always, you can find me more often here on the CCA Twitch channel, covering all things collegiate Splatoon. Like I said, there's still one more match that is going on right now over on Splatoon Tourney 1. We will send you over there momentarily to figure out who's going to finish out Division 2 playoffs. This has been DRF and Elixir, bringing you tonight's CCA coverage. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we will see you this upcoming week for the semi-finals.